We are on schedule. Is there a motion to open the public meeting of the Holyoke Planning Board for Tuesday, February 25th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi.
Yes.
Kate.
Yes.
Rosanna.
Yes, ma'am.
And Lauren.
Yes.
All right. So we are going out of order and we are going to hear from Alan Penniman, who is the lead consultant on our comp plan. I don't know whether everybody has had a chance to meet him, but if not, Alan, this is the gang. Lauren Niles, Jane Mandaleski, who is actually our counsel as well, Rosanna Lopez. I keep looking for Gernander, but he is not with us.
Not with us today. Yeah, I didn't hear back from him when I texted to see if he was coming.
And Parker is our brand new Planner One. And you probably already know Brianna. I think she's been at a bunch of our Thursday meetings. So we asked Alan to come in because the plan is hurtling forward and the planning board is the lead agency on this. In fact, we are tasked with, among other things, being the only city agency in a position to approve the work when it's finally done. And since just because of open meeting laws and everybody's schedule, you know, Kate and I have been keeping up with what's been going on, but it's been a very limited extent to which the rest of the board has been able to talk about it or look at documents because you had to, because there was a meeting, as opposed to here they are for when you get to them. And I thought it would be a good idea for Alan to be able to tell everybody at once what we've been doing and for everybody to be able to ask any questions, whether related to the presentation or not. And Kate, oh, okay, she's on the phone. I saw a grid that suggested a comment, but apparently not. Anyway, I think, in fact, I know that Alan brought a slideshow for us, but I would also say if you have any questions at any point, if there's anything that you feel should be addressed that it doesn't look like we're addressing, please chime in. This is meant to be kind of a group session. And I've lost the word, but you know, just putting our heads together and making sure that we are covering everything we need to be covering while there's still time to add things, change course, what have you, or if there are points that should be made that we haven't made. But with that said, over to Alan.
Oh, I think Kate had a
Yeah,
comment.
just to jump, that was Gernander. He's going to be able to join us for this part of the meeting. So
Okay,
he'll
great.
be here soon-ish.
Perfect. And Mimi, thank you for that intro and framing up my appearance here. Thank you everyone for making some time in your agenda. I know you have a lot of business to take care of. But like Mimi said, we did think it's really important to connect with this group at a strategic time. We're pretty deep into the process, but we also, that means we have some half-baked thoughts to share with you. So it's not too late to influence them, but it's not too early that they're, you know, not worth your time. So my name is Alan Penniman. I'm the project manager representing Agency Landscape and Planning. We're a planning firm based out of Cambridge, Mass. Not here today, but also part of the team. We are teaming with Cambridge Econometrics, which despite the name is actually based in Northampton, as well as Niche Engineering out of Lawrence, Mass. And we have an engagement team called Hive Public Space out of Queens, New York. So they've all been, you know, part and parcel to what you're about to see. I just have the privilege of being the mouthpiece, if you will. So without further ado, let me pull up some slides, talk you through that, and then hopefully that will facilitate conversation. And
You should be all set.
thank you. You read my mind. Okay. All right, so let me set the table a little bit. I know for about half of you, this is sort of old news, but I think for others, this might be new. So just to set the table a little bit, you know, we were inspired by actually I had a conversation with Mimi and Kate earlier, and just we wanted to emphasize Holyoke's legacy as a planned city. This mural here in the public library, sort of depicting the ambition of Holyoke as the paper city. And that of course evolves over time. We like that the image on the right panel includes a more inclusive cast of characters, which I think reflects the evolution of Holyoke's role. But the main point here is we really want to carry forth this legacy of thinking big, introducing new ideas and sort of growing from within. So the purpose and scope of a comp plan update, right? So we want to envision aspirational futures, but we also want to stay grounded and identify implementation pathways for achieving them. This is about all aspects of physical development, where we live, how we get around, etc. We're governed by Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 41, Section 81D, which requires us to study these categories that you see on the right. But more broadly speaking, this is a roadmap for the future of Holyoke and how it wants to grow and what it wants to be. We are organized underneath both the mayor as well as the planning board, as Mimi said. We've been interfacing with the Office of Planning and Economic Development. I mentioned the team of consultants just a moment ago. And then we also have a comp plan committee comprised of local stakeholders, and we've been doing a lot of community engagement as well. So what are we going to do with the comp plan? We don't want it to be a plan that sits on the shelf. We think it can be a tool for attracting employers and investors. We think it can provide clarity for local developers and entrepreneurs. We know that it's going to influence future conversations around zoning that will come before this body. So we want to help set a North Star for how the zoning ordinance can sort of bring to bear some of the bigger, loftier ideas in the plan. We want to build confidence in local government. We want to help Holyoke secure outside resources, particularly state and federal funds, as well as form partnerships with the philanthropic community, because it takes money to do these things. We're working on a draft vision statement. This isn't quite there yet, but Holyoke is growing towards a clean and green future, leveraging its renewable energy and environmental beauty to offer economic opportunity, access to education, healthy, safe, and joyful quality of life, and housing for all. Holyoke is assured of its future, vibrant, inclusive, and modern. So that's a little bit of table setting. I mentioned we've done a lot of stakeholder engagement. If you'll forgive this very complex graphic, it's hard to fit it all in one slide. But essentially, we've broken the comp plan into 3 phases. We began by listening and learning, and then we moved into envisioning the aspirational futures I mentioned, and now we're smack dab in the middle of identifying implementation pathways. So across those 3 phases, you can see on the top row all the outreach that we've done. We've also had 3 or 4 major community listening sessions, we're calling them. I mentioned the comp plan committee that we will meet with 5 times, and then we had 2 rounds of focus groups. So here's our, so it should say comp plan committee in action. We also popped up in 9 locations across the city, again, trying to meet people where they are. So this included the library, Key Food Marketplace, the community college, etc. And then we had 3 big listening sessions at the at the high school and so forth. And we reached over 500 Holyokers. And this is a lot of words, but these are some things we heard about, kind of top of mind for folks: safer, people-oriented streets, economic opportunity, housing for all, improving safety, and mixed-use destinations with more retail offerings, just to give you a flavor. Then we also did desktop analysis. So, back in the office, we're looking at the regional context and comparing how Holyoke is growing versus the county and the state. We understand that green tech and advanced manufacturing are a competitive advantage. The cheap and abundant energy, the proximity to world-class research institutions, and as well as markets to sell these products to, so on and so forth. We looked at the employment composition of the city, healthcare being a major employer, but also industry being a collection of smaller employers. And what can we do to convert more commuters into folks who choose to live in Holyoke, not just work in Holyoke? And that, of course, ties to quality of life, quality of school, et cetera.
I just before you go off that screen, I just want people to notice, and we'll make sure everybody gets this report. But just the graphic of how many people come into Holyoke to work every day and how many people leave, that just something I had never seen before.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely want to grow that middle number.
Yeah, the people who stay.
Yep. Talked a lot about housing and real estate. Real estate in Holyoke is relatively inexpensive, but that doesn't mean it's affordable. So there's some opportunity there, but also some challenges. We're doing a deep dive into zoning. You're discussing tiny homes, et cetera. We're getting into that in many ways that we'll go into momentarily. Mobility, so getting around without a car, dignified transit, but also parking is important. Safe routes to school are important. We're looking at those things. And then finally, livability, which is sort of a catch-all related to the quality of school and rec centers, our public health and safety, our natural parks, access to food, so on. These things are also topics that we've considered. Now, I blazed through all that because I wanted to save most of my time to talk about where we're at. And that's this planning framework. So we took all of that analysis, all the input we heard, and distilled it down into these 6 themes: ready for business, safe and compassionate, livable and welcoming, sustainable and connected, healthy and clean, and modern and strategic. And each of those 6 themes is based on all the ideas that we just kind of ran through. And then we created goals for each of the themes. And now we're working to create strategies for each of the goals. So first and foremost, ready for business. We heard a lot about this: restoring economic activity when the mills close, attracting good paying jobs, taking advantage of the vibrant culture and food scenes that are here now, but are often overlooked. How can we, moving into the goals, position Holyoke to incubate and accelerate new business, connect Holyokers with workforce training opportunities, prepare and promote market-ready development sites, such as the old Mount Tom gold plant, for example, and find and develop Holyoke's niche in food, culture, and tourism. So things like Sublime are an example of this. In Providence, previously I worked on a project attracting a commercial scale greenhouse onto a brownfield site. So looking for opportunities like that. The second theme is about safety and compassion. We heard a lot about mental health care and well-being. We heard a lot about the existing culture and recreational program providers, not necessarily coming from the government, but coming from community-based organizations. And we heard the importance of good schools as a prerequisite to retaining families. Pretty common sense there. So our goals are to radically improve perceptions and reality of education from pre-K to grade 12, to redeploy best practices for first responders to provide community-based care, and to partner with those CBOs to increase access to social services and programming. The third theme, livable and welcoming. So here we talk about housing a lot. So it's access to affordable housing is key, but it's also about social events like block parties, making it safer, more pleasant to walk around your neighborhood. And yes, housing for all income levels, including market rate, but also including affordable. So how can we increase those opportunities to housing for a range of household budgets, but also household compositions? Maybe you have an extended family, something like that. How can we foster complete neighborhoods where you can get a prescription, you can maybe see your primary care physician, you can have a hardware store, do all of that in your neighborhood would be really nice. Then, of course, we have the canals, we have the riverfront, we have such an abundance of natural spaces. How do we increase access to those? And then, of course, the arts, culture, makers. We have these wonderful mills. Stuff is already happening. How can we support that ecosystem of creators? And these are just some examples. Lowell has a really nice canal walk, which Holyoke has the start of, but could be expanded. And you were just talking about the UMass tiny home experiment. Okay.
So for one Holyoke factoid, which Lowell brings up, the canal walk system in Lowell was actually jump-started by a former mayor of Holyoke. Bill Topier was mayor when I was a kid, and he got lured away to Lowell, and a few years later, the canal walk started.
Look at that. That is a very fun fact.
Yeah, not of any particular relevance, but I couldn't help. It's
Well,
all.
that's good. That's good work on his part, just in the wrong city.
Yeah, well, it was still a fairly wealthy town when he left it, Holyoke.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mimi. Okay, so theme 4 of 6, we're making progress here. Sustainable and connected. So here we heard a lot about, and speaking of mayors, Mayor Garcia really has been emphasizing the importance of native ecology and teaching about the benefits of the environment. But also connectivity is utilities too. So it's the green energy, it's a selling point for business, it's fiber optic, et cetera. So our goals here are to standardize walkability and bikeability through this concept of complete streets, to sustain the supply of inexpensive, abundant, renewable utilities. We know that's a competitive advantage. Addressing transit. Let's not forget about freight rail too. Freight rail is really important. And then green infrastructure as well. So another example from Lowell is that they're working on this river edge park, which will have an ecological function to reduce flooding, filter out combined sewer overflow, et cetera, while also providing riverfront recreation. The 5th theme, healthy and clean. So we heard a lot of complaints about litter and property upkeep. We heard a desire for better amenities, and we heard a desire for healthy food access. So the goals here are about investing and stewarding well-programmed park spaces. So they have a lot of parks, but it's also about is there story time in the park? Is there the right type of ball field activities, things like that. Redoubling maintenance efforts, and then also increasing access to healthy food, especially in the schools, but also corner stores, groceries, community gardens. And of course, we need to shout out Nuestras Raíces, who is already doing this work and is providing a model on how we might be able to expand that. And then finally, thanks for sticking with me here. The last one is modern and strategic. This is where we get into zoning quite a bit. Yes, we heard complaints about red tape, but I have to say, as we dug into those details, we learned that Holyoke is actually doing pretty well compared to some peers in terms of expediency of permits and things like that. So let's build on what's working to make it navigable for entrepreneurs and developers. Let's again with zoning, let's build on what's working really well. Things like DR, the Arts and Industry Overlay District. But the bigger goal here is to align Holyoke zoning ordinance with the comp plan update. 2, streamlining zoning approval processes And then 3, leveraging Holyoke's strategic vision to form partnerships and attract resources to the city. So I just hit you with a whole lot of information. Essentially, supporting the vision statement, which I read to you earlier, are these 6 themes. And our next step is to develop strategies for these 6 themes. So I just read you the themes and the goals, and now we're digging into those detailed strategies. We're digging into zoning recommendations, so we'll talk about the ADUs, business zones, performance standards, etc. And we're going to see you again soon. So this is sort of the beginning of a conversation. We're going to have a bigger update for you on April 8th. And then the following day, we're going to be releasing the draft plan at the Holyoke Public Library. This will be a public event, and it's going to kick off an exhibit that we'll have in the lobby of the library for a couple months. And essentially, we're going to put these ideas on the table, collect feedback, and this will be a great time for us to work together to refine the goals, the strategies, talk about what's missing, maybe what should be changed, that sort of thing. So with that whirlwind of information, I'll open it up to some questions and hopefully conversation.
Okay, and in an effort not to do all of the talking myself for once, I'm going to go immediately to all other members of the planning board. Thoughts, questions, things that we're overlooking here, things that
I
were
believe, were these the meetings that were being held in different locations? I went to these meetings, I think, because all this sounds so familiar
Yeah,
and repetitive. Okay,
Oh, good.
because I'm like, I heard all of this. Like,
Oh, good,
okay.
great.
Yeah. No, we went. I think Kate was there too. Kate went to all of them, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So
I think
yeah, I got
I saw you at 1 or 2 of them, but I think
Yeah.
it's the themes are the same, but I'm excited by how far we've come since that.
Yes, because I'm like, wait a minute, this looks different, but I heard all of this before. Like it's coming together because it was like each meeting, it was a piece, a piece, a piece. So
Yeah.
now I see the puzzles coming together. Yeah, I'm really excited for this. I hope none of this gets shut down for different reasons. But yeah, I'm really excited to see this. I'm really
That's
excited.
great. Well, thanks for sticking with us. I know it's been, it takes time for these ideas to gel, and there's themes and goals and strategies, and it kind of builds slowly, but to your point, it is starting to come together. So it's an exciting point in the process.
and I do think having them all together and being able to look at them and seeing all of the information that's been developed makes it easier, I think, to start brainstorming about, all right, we have the goals. We have some thoughts about the strategy and what strengths we have. And now it's really time to start thinking about, all right, what are the changes that we can make now that will not only go to one theme, but will support all of the other themes? Things like if we can get the housing and the zoning right downtown, we start making downtown an attractive place for businesses to come because the workers will want to be there. Once that happens, it supports the restaurant development and, so on and so on and so on. So I would hope that both agency and we can just start thinking about that. What are the pieces that we can do, particularly in this new environment, that will be relatively low cost to do and can get us to the tipping point where we can sit back and watch it all happen?
Yeah, I think that's right, Mimi. All of this really overlaps to your point. Supporting local businesses also makes neighborhoods more livable because you have more amenities in your neighborhood, and it supports the tax base, and it activates our parks and all these sorts of things. So it definitely is sort of coming together. I think the zoning is one piece where this group will probably, dive really deep. I think we're about to get into specifics of zoning. We're not quite there yet, but I think when we meet on April 8th, we'll probably try to drill really deep with you on that and get your feedback specifically about certain zones, certain geographies, and those sorts of details.
And while you have all of us, is there anything you want to ask us?
Yeah, actually, I'd love some advice on how to communicate this, right? There's a few audiences, right? Like there's a general public, there's this body, and there's city council when it comes to sort of zoning issues. And I guess based on you've heard a lot of our presentations already, I'd love some feedback on how we can refine some of the terminology we're using or the way that we're communicating these ideas. Anything that we can do to make it more understandable, more exciting, and just sort of build support, I think would be helpful to know.
Right? That may be one where people have to go away and think about it.
What's the word on the street? Is this sort of like, I don't really understand it? Are people excited about it?
There is no word on the street. I'm just gonna be very transparent with you. There is no word on the street. The people that attend are the people that know, and very few people in the community know, because I'm pretty sure you saw the demographics of all the meetings, right? That is not the demographic of the city itself. So with that being said, there's a very limited group that knows, but as the city itself, they don't know. Because I've tried to explain to some people, they're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "It's all over Facebook. The mayor has been promoting it. Like, there's been meetings. Like, what do you mean you don't know what's going on?" So I think it's out there, but it's not out there the way it should be. So I think it's kind of like it's a community that knows, but the community does not know, in my perspective, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lauren, you have your hand up. Did you want to jump in here, or were you trying to make a different point and I didn't see your hand fast enough?
I was going to make a different point.
Well, go for it.
I think part of what would be helpful is being more concrete. I feel like this is very like theoretical and like amorphous, and I have no idea how it's going to work. And I think that's the part that you're talking about, you're getting toward. But right now, it's just like, yeah, of course we want to make Holyoke ready for business, safe and compassionate, livable and welcoming, like all of these things. Yes, that's of course we want them, but like, how are we doing that in reality? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, heard. And we have some draft answers. I mentioned the in Smiths Ferry, the former Mount Tom coal plant. And, that's one example where, if you're trying to attract advanced manufacturing, if there aren't sites remaining in the flats or other areas, perhaps the Mount Tom generation plant could be the next frontier of that type of development. So that's just one example of the specifics that we're working to develop, and we'll definitely have for you by April.
Cool. Yeah, because I mean, obviously we have so much empty space in Holyoke and so much abandoned space and so much dilapidated space that can be repurposed. And I think it's how do we attract businesses to come here and incentivize things? I mean, we all know we have great resources here, but like how do we market ourselves as a city? Because like I feel like that's kind of the purpose of the comprehensive plan, is to attract people. And to make our city more livable.
Yeah, that's good feedback. So a little too amorphous, and we need to ground this in how it actually happens, where it actually happens.
Yeah. And I didn't want to blow past Rosanna's point. And if there are ways that we haven't thought of that exist to get the word out, in some more organic way. The whole city suffers from a lack of information. We don't have a newspaper anymore. We don't have, I don't know if we have anything by way of pirate radio or anything that people are listening to locally that people might know about that we could tap into. And I genuinely don't know, but it would be great if there is anything and we can use it.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, we found that the pop-ups were very effective in getting beyond the people that know and reaching just everyday folks in the course of their day. However, at the time that we did that, it was a very early stage. It was kind of like, what's your big vision? What's your big priority? So maybe we'll have to see about budget wise, but maybe now that we have some more concrete ideas, it would be a good time to go back to places like this and be like, hey, what do you think? It's a little bit more tangible now. What do you think about it?
But I think we need some way to get to the tipping point where it becomes a big subject of public conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Or, not need, but it would be desirable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you never know. Sometimes the city is talking everywhere about some fight on city council or the bridge that eats trucks. And if we could get that kind of sort of, here is the topic of the moment going with this, I'm sure that it would be useful.
We could get into a fight here.
We don't have any media. Also,
Well,
I'm not
no,
sure
this
we
is
can get that colorful.
I'm totally kidding, obviously.
Well, you obviously are, and yet it's true.
and this is a bit later in the process, but there have been examples of comprehensive plans that are written like a coffee table book,
Mhm.
or at least a version, like there's like a technical version for like, for our folks like us, right? Who this is like part of our job or we're volunteering. But the public facing version is like a coffee table book, and it really taps into the pride of the city, right? Like you're talking about the mill heritage, like what really makes Holyoke Holyoke. And being a coffee table book, it's in the home, it can strike up conversation, it can be a point of like, yeah, this is my city's vision for the future. So granted, that's sort of at the end of the process, but one thing we could think about is what the actual end document / deliverables look like to make them, I guess, sort of accessible and something that you might, I don't know, you might sort of like help you rep your city, so to speak.
Yeah.
And if you have a chance, the example I'm thinking of is the Atlanta City Design report. If you have a chance, check it out. They talk a lot about, Martin Luther King's beloved community and his tie to the city of Atlanta, as a way of talking about how the city grows and its sort of its role in the current times. So we could try to do something like that.
Well, something to think about. We were thinking about presentation anyway earlier today. So one idea to add to the stack of them is,
Just on that, I feel like, there was a beautiful coffee table book for our city anniversary recently, and I don't know that it sold very well. I mean, obviously, I think something more, I don't know, maybe it's a mural.
maybe it's a mural, maybe it's a website. Maybe it's a TikTok account, since obviously we aren't banning that anytime soon.
Yeah.
I mean, what about, like, there's so many Holyoke Facebook pages. Is there stuff going up on any of those about what's happening around this? I mean, there's stuff about city council all the time. I don't know why we couldn't try and have this on it.
Yeah, absolutely. In the lead up to the April 9th opening and exhibit, we're going to be doing a blitz. So I can work with Kate and Mimi to get all of the accounts that we want to post to and make sure we hit all of those.
I think Jen is probably a really good person for that too. In Aaron's office.
There's a member of the public that has their hand
Yes.
up.
Oh, yes, I just saw the hand up. Mr. Geiger.
Geiger. I've been a Holyoke resident since 2021. I live in Holyoke and I work in Cambridge. I work and have worked in architecture, planning, landscape architecture. I'm originally from Cleveland, and one of the things that drew me to Holyoke was ways in which the landscape of the city reminded me of the Cuyahoga River and the flats of the Cuyahoga River, the industrial and refining steel manufacturing area where I went to high school. I am a significant fan of agency and Alan's work and the partners at agency, and I'm so psyched that Holyoke has retained Alan and agency to work on the comprehensive plan for Holyoke. I have noticed in this call that I've just been on very briefly, twice Holyoke's history as being a wealthy community with a newspaper has been evoked. And I wonder, and I know Alan is working within a tight envelope of scope and budget, but I was just wondering if perhaps as part of an exhibit or at the library or social media campaign, some effort could be made to articulate a future for Holyoke that met the principles that Alan agency have identified and shown to y'all. And I was wondering if that could be done in a way that visualizes or narrates places in the community where change could occur, and then also identifies who either currently living in Holyoke or from the outside could take action and when to achieve the potential change. I think it is having again worked and understand the kind of literature and kind of rhetoric of planning deliverables. I think trying to make them accessible to the public, I think will always be a journey. But I think making an effort to try to make them accessible and make them evocative and promising and future oriented could be really exciting. And I think it does not need to be a dozen ideas. It needs only to be like a handful. I'd be really excited to see that also, either through activism or social media or just overall charisma and enthusiasm. Would love to help celebrate that. And I know agency can do it. Done such amazing things elsewhere across the United States.
But thank you so much for every word of that. You've just articulated something that I've been struggling to articulate, which is a hope that in the end we have something we can go out with that genuinely shows the future of the city that we're trying to bring into reality and maybe identifies specific ways we can start to get there. And you just did a much better job, I think, than I have of saying that. But A, I think you are completely right. And B, I would love to keep you involved in this process in whatever capacity we can. So if you don't mind being called out occasionally to say, hey, what do you think of this? Or do you have any further ideas about how we can get there? Speaking as a citizen, because I obviously have not consulted the rest of my board, I would be really happy. So
excited for Alan to continue their work.
I threw Scott's name out like months ago to when we were looking for people. So I would be stoked to have him as a part of things.
Y'all are, and Alan knows this. Alan's a national traveler and thinker.
Yeah.
Y'all are sitting on an amazing asset.
Yep.
Multicultural, in wonderful asset, and I think agency is making great progress towards helping unlock that to the community. But as has been said, I feel like there is like a communications and outreach and celebration obstacle, as there is everywhere in every community.
Well, Scott, thank you very much for the compliment. And I'm relating the comments that you had to what Lauren and others have said. It feels like it's really time to start visualizing how the words that we've shown, we're confident that the words reflect the analysis we've done, the conversations we've had with people. So we know that these are going to be supported, but I think once you get to that step of showing something that gets people excited, allows people to see how their life will be improved by these ideas. Maybe I think that will help us earn attendance, earn interest, and just wake people up and get excited about Holyoke's future.
And honestly, this is in some ways a great time. People are looking for things they can do.
Yes.
Okay, well, I won't be afraid to call up Scott to help on this. And this has been very good feedback for me. I'm going to bring this back to my team and sort of adjust our approach a little bit. I think to be a bit more visionary. Mimi, I know you've some comments you've shared in the past about sort of helping people see a vision or leading folks to an exciting future. So we'll start to redouble our efforts there. We know when our next big engagement is going to be. It'll be the April 8th and 9th. So we've got about a month, which is a good chunk of time to generate that content. So mark your calendars. It's going to be a really exciting event.
Okay, sounds great. Anything else that anybody wants to add before we let Alan go for the evening?
Thanks for coming, Alan.
Yeah, this has been really helpful, I think.
Madam Chair, all I can say was, first of all, I was sorry. I was late. And it was very nicely represented. The question you were saying how we can bring it to the public, that was the main, I was thinking, how they can promote more to the public, So like local restaurants, when parks open for the games, and maybe we can do the flyers and stuff like that. It's a beautiful thing to do in Holyoke, and I'd like to thank you from all our board. And one more time, thank you very much. It was a nice work. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you again, everyone, for your time. And I'm really excited. Like I said, this is kind of the warm up. So I'm really excited to come back on April 8th and have a little bit more tangible, more exciting, and kind of preview with you before we go to the public the following day. So I'll see you all in April.
Okay,
Alan.
Thank you.
you.
Okay, so with that, we can return to our regular order. And on our agenda, we have a bunch of special permits to look at and vote on. And as The first up is the special permit for Citizens Bank. And Jeff, do we have a draft notice of decision for that, or? do we
Yes,
want-
in the Google Drive, there will be a draft decision concerning that project.
Pulling it up right now.
Yes, well, I looked for the draft notices of decision and I found one. I am helpless with Google Drive and
So, again, it was kind of twofold. It was an update as far as like a site plan review amendment of sorts. They were aware that they had to come back to review their signs. So, in the project description and I kind of threw in even the sign on the south that was just at the 27 square feet, just to kind of memorialize that those were in this case, well, it's a combination of elevation, but that 2 at 61, there were 2 on the easterly side at 80, and then the one to the south at 27. Just to kind of memorialize the fact that that was the plan. So in the event that other signs appeared, at least this would be the documented or acknowledged signs as part of this approval. Assuming the board gets to a positive determination.
well, I have to say, I thought that this was a no-brainer. I thought the proposed signs are reasonable.
Yeah, I looked over the notice of decision. I'm good with it the way it is.
Yeah, the findings look good to me.
I'll make a motion that we approve the increase in sign size and multiple signs for Citizens Bank.
Is there a
I,
second?
I s-
All in favor?
Roll call vote for Kate,
Yes.
Mimi,
Yes.
Rosanna,
yes, ma'am.
Lauren,
Yes.
and Gurinder doesn't vote on this, right? No,
Yeah.
he's-
Well,
Okay.
no, he
Okay,
missed the hearing anyway, so
okay.
that is done. Next one. Okay. We continued no, we didn't.
I presented the 850 High
Yeah.
Street. There is a draft as well for that one.
Okay, let's do it.
Again, pretty straightforward. The interesting aspect of this is that they came forward with 80 square feet. But, much like, this started back with the Racing Mart in the early 2000s, and, you can even see it on the Barnes and Noble, that technically, that every use on that cohabited or multi-tenant sign could technically have 40 square foot per use or up to 80 with a special permit. And that this owner is only coming, expanding the sign size in total only to 80. Just kind of throwing it out there that it's, I mean, it's still per sign, it's substantially less, but was looked at as a cumulative. So, and that there doesn't appear to be any impacts to, traffic exiting or rather entering or exiting the site.
Brianna, can you just scroll down to the other page? Yeah, I think this one also looked fine to me. Was there a typo on the first page that I missed before? I just saw right before you scrolled, I saw a blue line, so. No, that's fine. I'll move that we approve the special permit for the increase in sign size for 850 High Street.
Second,
All in favor?
Roll call vote for Kate,
Yes.
Mimi,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
and Lauren.
Yes.
And are we ready on New Leaf? Which we only heard tonight and is a whole new, it's not just a sign. If we're not ready, then we can certainly take it up again at our next meeting.
I do not have draft decisions available for this one. This is one that, much like the previous meeting with the other EV proponent, I didn't really know where this meeting was going to go.
Yeah,
So
so I kind of thought that was going to be the answer.
yeah,
But while I'm looking at it, there is a item of broader business that's related to it, and maybe I should just footnote that now, which is that Jane has looked and has observed that we do not have a specific use in our code of ordinances for EV charging stations. And we should probably think about that and propose an ordinance change that would allow for that specific use, because obviously there are going to be more of them and we might want to regulate where they go in the city. And we talked informally, I think, about getting a friendly city councilor to introduce an order for us to study that and work something out. And I don't think that it should be a bar to us now. We've been approving these anyway. But it would be nice to have something on paper that addresses it. And having said that,
Yeah, so I see there's no notice of decision yet, but it seems pretty straightforward, and as soon as we have it, I'm ready to go.
yeah, and I don't see a problem with approving this at our next meeting. And we should have a notice of decision for special permit modification and the site plan modification and for reduction of parking for Tesla, which is up next.
yes.
This one is the special, I mean, the site plan.
I just want to let you know I'm here too at Noseworthy with Tesla if you need anything. I think you all met with my colleague Scott Austin a couple weeks ago. So yeah, just want to come off mute and say hi. I'm having some trouble with my video here, but I'm here if y'all need anything.
Thank you.
Brianna, can you scroll down to the?
Yeah.
I just, when I was reading this, I wanted to talk about whether we could put in a condition on the decision, just because, as we heard before, they're using a proprietary app for their charging, that people have to use the proprietary app. And given that that raises some concerns about data, I just wanted to put in, if we can, a condition about requiring that they're following all applicable laws about data privacy.
So I can help speak to that if that's okay, Kate. But that was the gentleman from New Leaf, I believe, speaking to the sort of the Tesla dynamic. But I did want to just
I had put this out there before we even heard from them. So
yeah, but yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no, just for the record, yes, we would be happy to hear from you about this. Even though the public hearing is now closed and we can't take further information formally, I think background information on a condition is probably acceptable.
Okay. Yeah. And just for, I guess, a bit more context. So the Tesla network, charging network in general, up until last year, used to be a proprietary network for Tesla only, but we are now open to all major auto manufacturers in the US. And the way we do that is that there's a few different ways, right? So we provide adapters, we have CCS, Magic Dock connectors on some of our posts. We have some OEMs, depending on how they interface, some of them may use our app, some of them may have their own app that interacts with our app. Cars are also sort of basically going to be manufacturing. When I say cars, I mean EVs that non-Teslas are going to be manufacturing their cars with the Tesla charge port in stages over the next couple of years as well, just to make the interaction and the charging more seamless. But I just wanted to sort of provide that context that it's not no longer like a proprietary network or a proprietary app. We try to welcome all non-Teslas alike to our charging network.
But if we understood this correctly from the previous hearing, the app is the only way to pay. If you're going to have, kiosks where somebody could just use their credit card as well, then that kind of changes the picture for us. But if there is an app that you have to use these at all, then there are, it raises data privacy concerns. And basically, we understand that as a city planning board, we can't say, you may not harvest customer data, you may not sell it, blah, blah, blah. But we can just ask for that assurance that the app will follow all relevant state and federal data privacy standards, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yes, of course. We are, fully compliant as a charging network that's been built over the last 12 years. Yes, agreed.
Okay, in that case, it can do no harm for us to add Kate's suggested language. And maybe take out the word proprietary, since but I would move that we take Kate's suggestion, which is at the side of the screen now, as a comment, and put it in as condition number 5.
Got it.
And does anyone else have comments? And with that done, is there a motion to approve?
Sure, I'll move to approve.
All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
and Lauren.
Yes.
So, again, this one here, I left a lot of question marks here just because I didn't necessarily want to speak for the board when it comes to their thoughts on this one, as I'll probably do with the new leaf next week as well. So, yeah.
Sorry, I thought I had read over this one and put something in, but clearly I didn't, so.
That or Google Drive ate it. Wouldn't be the first
Something.
one.
Yeah.
Well, for number one, we could say the proposed reduction of parking requirements is appropriate to the parcel or to, the development, and will support the needs of users of electric vehicles that will access the other, what do you call them? Restaurants, commercial uses on the site. Or users of electric vehicles in this broad commercial neighborhood. And certainly under current circumstances, it won't reduce traffic safety. There's plenty of room on the site for good or for ill.
Yeah, 3 is also fine.
Yeah. So to support electric vehicles. Supports the vitality of this commercial and industrial district. Or perhaps the vitality and accessibility of this commercial district. I think 5 is fine as is.
The proposed reduction of parking requirements to enable electric vehicle charging may have a, whatever the boilerplate is, may have a positive financial impact for the development, the parcel.
And surrounding businesses. And this is kind of repetitive, but the whole point is if people with electric vehicles have an extra reason to be there, or if it enables them to make trips to the mall and the other businesses that they wouldn't otherwise make, then obviously it's going to have a positive financial impact on everything else. So yeah, I think that's got it.
I move that we approve this, what is it? Special permit modification for a reduction in parking.
Thanks. All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Did you call me?
Yes,
Oh, I didn't hear you. Yes.
I kind of mumbled, so.
Okay, so we've got that one taken care of. And next up is the zone change for those properties on Dwight Street to DR. And Jeff and I have drafted a recommendation that is now up on the screen. I think we essentially agreed last time that we approve of and are indeed very enthusiastic about doing this zone change. So the question here is just whether you all feel the language is appropriate or if there are points to be made that got left out.
Brandon, can you just please scroll down a little bit? I might have, when I did the copy and paste, I think oh, go up a little bit, please. I accidentally left that bottom line there. So we just need to delete that, or it says, please feel free to contact me, because that was part of the old letter. Thank you.
And actually, you've got Mimi signing twice there.
Yeah,
so-
it was a bad copy and paste, so.
Yeah, I read this. I think it's a great letter. I'm good with it. Oh, and I think if Gernander's still here, he could vote on this also because he was here for the hearing.
Perfect.
Are we ready for a motion?
Yeah, we guess we need a motion for this, right?
Yeah.
I'll move that we approve and send this letter.
I second.
All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes,
Lauren,
Yes.
and Grinder.
Maybe he's not still there.
No, thought I saw him, but it's hard to tell. There is an iPad co-host though.
That's Rosanna.
I think he
Did you
was.
say my name?
Oh,
Yes.
Yes,
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I couldn't unmute myself. Sorry. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, and it is basically the same letter for 8 and 9. So we take that as an approval of both of them.
Or do we need to vote separately since they're separate? Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the same letter to cover the second site, the Villanova Properties site.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Rosanna,
sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Lauren,
Yes.
and Grinder.
Yes.
Okay, and last up for tonight is special permit to exceed fence height for the proposed parking lot repaving down on High Street, which we talked about last time. And I think that our issues about the site triangle had been solved by the end of the public hearing, but I don't recall whether we'd reached any consensus about it. anyway, if we have a notice of decision, we can get that off our plates too.
I think on the Google Drive, I updated some of the language on the second page just because it was. Oh, I guess I made comments because it looked like it was cut and pasted maybe from a temporary fence.
Yeah.
Permit, so my suggestions were a few changes that you'll see in the sidebar. So for the first one, that the proposed fence is appropriate for the parking lot use.
Yeah,
And I think generally in number 6, we usually say the fence that things may have a positive fiscal impact. We don't know that they will, but they may. And that it's not a construction fence, it's a permanent
it's a fence.
fence. And I was just wondering whether we want to put in the bullet point something about you could just add the part about the site triangle.
Well, just know that I think that those bullets are directly from the ordinance.
Oh, never mind then. Don't do it. It could be, you could add something afterwards that says, and furthermore follows city ordinance by not impeding the site triangle.
Or we could go back to findings and see if there's a place to stick it there.
Yeah.
In fact, traffic flow and safety.
Yeah, number 2. Yeah,
Yeah.
put it there.
What am I putting?
That text that was down lower, that my suggestion about the site triangle. I think it's just good to note that in our decision.
Yeah, no, it makes sense to me. And in fact, it is relevant to traffic flow and safety.
Yeah.
I keep attempting to scroll on this document, which doesn't mean good at all. Anything else?
The only I added number 3 was just that it should be the black vinyl coat mesh with a essentially a matching, I don't know how to say it, black skeletal frame support structure. I don't know what you call it. I mean, I would just call it fence posts, but I didn't, for all I know, they could wordsmith me and say that, so I tried to cover all bases.
Yeah, no, I think this works. I don't see a problem with it.
I'll move that we approve the special permit to exceed fence height at 740 High Street.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Lauren,
Yes.
and Grinder.
Yes.
Okay, and we continued the tiny homes discussion to the end of summer, so we're not dealing with that tonight. We do not have an executive session tonight. And that brings us to project updates, old business, new business, where actually, forgive me again for my inability to navigate the Google Drive, but if we have a notice of decision for 1600 Northampton Street, we could get that off the docket too.
I was not able, within the time I had today, I was not able to finish that one or or one for the Bank of America. But I do know that the board talked about the Duncan last time. I just need to prepare something because again, it's an amendment to the site plan, but a simple amendment, as will the site plan review amendment for the Bank of America. And Brianna, could you look for that and see if it should be on the drive, Bank of America?
Can I just ask something quick about the Duncan?
Yep.
Because I noticed when I went into the Google Drive, there were a number of photographs that somebody had taken. And how recent were the photographs? Do we know? I mean, they're in summer, so, but I'm wondering,
I-
is it last summer?
I have no idea. Let's see.
My
Just
concern,
don't see it there.
my concern looking at the photographs is it feels like, boy, I'd like to ask them to put in more bushes at the back, so their neighbors aren't just looking at that big concrete wall. Looked like a lot of the bushes in the back had died.
Well, back in the day, that was a very specific project when it was built on Northampton Street because they were required, they had demolished the building behind the old Bess Eaton. And they were required to heavily plant that back area, significant. It was supposed to be like a forest and there was supposed to be benches back there and all that. Honestly, I haven't gone back there in years. But I could look at that further to see if they are compliant to what the original plan approval was. And then we could always have the zoning officer just send a letter to them acknowledging the fact that it might not be planted to the extreme that it was originally approved as.
Since it's in front of us, it seems like a nice opportunity to get some buffering for the,
Yeah.
I think, particularly for the people behind them, but to see whether the plantings are still up to what they should be.
Right. Like I said, it was a substantial planting that they were required to do to make that work. So we'll look at that further.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Jeff, I didn't see that one for Bank of America on the folder.
It was right in the Google, let me see here. It's item number 4 in tonight's meeting materials. Are the drawings not there? Oh crap, they're not there. Okay, they were supposed to be there. Let me see here. Give me 1 second, please.
Yep.
For what it's worth, because I'm not zoomed in over here, Brianna, if you could look back at the NOD folder, I just kind of threw it there real quick. Thank you. And unfortunately, I didn't have the ability to spin it. I don't know. Okay, there you go. Thank you. So basically, it's just a rebranding of the company, but it was originally, I don't know if triggered is the right word, but it was brought to my attention they were changing it and they were willing to provide this, the updated graphics just for the record. So, we had said that we could treat it as just a very simple amendment and that they wouldn't even need to be present, but I could just show you all that what was existing is to the left and what's proposed is to the right. And again, I envision the amendment more or less being just another piece of paper to the file, essentially. Just something that's going to say the board at their meeting have approved this amendment of signage, just something very, very simple.
Do we even need a notice of decision, or can we just vote?
I was kind of thinking that we could just vote, to be honest, because it's just that simple. You know, the square footage is remaining this, we know, it looks like the one on the left is a little bit smaller, but honestly, it's basically the same exact size. Just a swap, so,
And it's
Yeah.
easier to read.
yes.
Yeah, it would be great to just be able to vote on it. I'm all for it.
I move that we approve this amendment to the Bank of America sign and empower Jeff to create whatever kind of notation he needs for that.
And like honestly, the same kind of goes for the Duncan. I'm sorry I kind of cut off that vote. My apologies. But kind of like with the Duncan, it was basically a swap and their signage was actually less than what was there now. I was kind of thinking it could be a simple letter just to Jim Carlin and the applicant saying the board approved, similar to the Bank of America, the board approved, and call that done. I'm sorry, I interrupted your vote.
No.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Lauren,
Yes.
and Gurinder.
Yes.
So do we want to, as it were, scroll back up and do the same thing with Duncan? Or,
That'd be great.
All right, I'll move that we approve the site plan review amendment for the signs of the Duncan at 1600 Northampton Street, with the caveat that we're asking for pursuit of the question of whether their planting plan is being followed.
Second.
all in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Lauren,
Yes.
and Gurinder.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got item 2C concerning the Peter Brown bonds update for the Bobal Road Solar.
And I presume that we have still heard nothing from him beyond what we.
So- well, this morning he actually got back to me as far as he was wondering. I think this is a mess now, and I don't know. I've reached out to various others without necessarily a response. I don't know where to necessarily go with it. He's waiting. He believes he's waiting for a response from, I think, the board or staff. So he's asking me this morning for any updates, and then also wants to know what I'm looking for in terms of proof of the trees. He said he can show pictures to provide coverage, which was the point of the permit. However, he doesn't know if realistically he can go and tag 48 trees planted and differentiate them from the other growth that's occurring naturally. So, I mean, I guess part of it comes back to, does the board want just what was approved, or do they want the sumacs and all the other stuff that's growing in it? Was that the intent? Because I think at this point, he's acknowledging that they basically let it go back to forest for what's there. Or I should say natural versus what's there, or what was, say, proposed. But I also don't necessarily know, because I mean, I've reached out to the gas and electric with no response. Or at least not, as far as that they threw it to the staff and board to talk about the decommissioning and whatnot. So I don't really know where to go with it.
Yeah, and Kate, I think you're the only one who has been out and deliberately looked at the site besides Jeff.
Yeah, having driven by it, it seems to me like there's a spot where it would really be nice to have an extra tree, whether, you know, and we probably, maybe we can't insist on it when, if they have the right number of trees, but if they can't go out and count the trees, then maybe we can insist on it. Let me, maybe I can share, let me just show the picture. Let's see if I
I
can.
remember the picture. If you still have it, would be great. Though on the one hand, I really hate to say, no, you must hire a forester and you must take a lawyer's time to go out and look at this and count trees and get an affidavit of number of trees.
Just when you're driving through, like, if the purpose of the original decision was to have screening so that people weren't looking at the solar panels, then there's that one spot where there's a pretty
whole
big gap and it would be nice to have a tree. But I guess I wouldn't insist on them going out and manicuring because nothing else around it is manicured. But it would be nice to have a little more coverage.
Are we talking about the Babola Road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been like that because I use that road a lot. Winter time, you always want to see that gap, but summertime when it comes, all the gap get filled. When last time I was with them, walking through the checking the tree and wetland, so because it's right behind the 361 Whitney Ave, and other sides are enough tree, but the roadside is one corner. What are you talking about? That's the little spot you can see if that could be full. I'm agree with you. Thank you.
So I don't know, Jane, do you think we can just respond to this poor man and tell him we're keeping the decommissioning bond and we don't want to ask him to go out and count the trees, but if he could just see that a tree is planted in that one spot, we will happily release the bond for the plantings?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Okay.
Jeff, I just sent you a copy of the photograph that shows the gap in the trees, if that's helpful.
Thank you.
So if we can just do that and make this go away, I would be, well, anything that makes this go away will probably make us all happy.
I'll reach out to Peter tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. And on our agenda, we've already done the comprehensive plan update. And that brings us down to meeting schedule.
Well, under,
One
if we could just add an item B, parking committee discussion.
Oh, thank you. I forgot about that.
Thank you.
Super quickly, I am our representative from the planning board to the parking committee that was established by the city. And we did the downtown parking study that's completed, but we have a little more work to figure out whether, how to go forward, like whether to essentially propose to the city council that they set up a parking authority so that we can disband the committee and actually have professional people in charge of the parking decisions. Or, what we want to do. It's a place where I'd like to work myself out of this job by giving it over to people, but that's my opinion. Regardless, the committee needs to keep meeting or needs to start meeting again to make those decisions. And a number of people, myself included, our term on the committee is up this month. So in order for me to continue to be the planning board representative to this committee, I need you all to appoint me as the representative to this committee.
Well, I am
Until I
so
can
grateful
get
that
out of
you are even willing to be reappointed. And If someone will make a motion to reappoint you. Come on.
I'll make the motion to reappoint Kate for the parking committee.
Thank you.
Yay.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi?
Yes.
Does Kate vote? Oh, no.
I think Kate can vote, but
Okay.
Sure.
Kate,
I'll do it. Yeah, why not?
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am. No, sorry. Like sometimes I can't press my unmute.
Lauren?
Yep.
And Grinder.
I think,
Yes.
all right. I feel like you are the only one who could do this. Everybody else would require all of this catching up.
I have faith in all of you, but I'll do it.
And I suppose under other business, as long as we're doing this, I ought to just circle back briefly to the fact that Jane did flag the fact that we don't have a use in the zoning ordinance for vehicular charging stations. And there was some talk about my attempting to write an order that we can get a city councilor to sign. I am working on that. And I don't know whether, when it's done, you would like to have me just run it by Jeff and ask him to recruit somebody or bring it up next meeting so that we can all look at it and approve it.
I think we should empower you.
Well, if you say so. And I don't think that really needs a vote. I will just proceed on that assumption. If anyone objects, speak now. Okay, then now we are on to, if there is no other business, the meeting schedule.
So for the meeting schedule, I know that we've already kind of drafted here, but I'm gonna look over my shoulder because it might be, at this point, there may be a few updates. So we've got the, today we received, well, we've got a public hearing continued for American Environmental. Today we received the updated information, so I'll be starting that this week to review their comments to our comments. I'm still waiting for several departments to respond to me, but I'm not necessarily here to air that yet, but I am waiting for several others to also respond. We've got the site plan review modification and parking for the Soli Best, which we're still waiting for information from them to be able to continue that review or that follow-up. We've got the short-term rentals planning board only, presumably for recommendation. We've got a site plan review amendment sign for sign techniques from Gabrielle, and I'm totally spacing where she's proposing a new sign. It just totally, we have another sign amendment or site plan review amendment. What was it? She just emailed me today. Let me just see, Gabrielle. Gabrielle. I gave her the information. It was relative to it's the new restaurant going into the former Applebee's. It turns out it'll be a Japanese barbecue and sushi bar called Daruma. Anyway, I just she's going to be providing me final information, and it's a simple enough thing. It's just because formally approved, and it's only 36 square feet, where originally Applebee's was seeking considerably more, and then later the Holyoke Brewery or Paper City Brewery was also seeking more. At this point, all they're doing is looking for one southerly facing sign having approximately 36 square feet. So I'll have more information about that, but that's just another add-on for that evening. in addition to the two continuations, or rather not two continuations, rather, the two notice of decision discussions for New Leaf EV that was heard earlier this evening. March 25th, we also received today, we received Florence Bank officially as a site plan review. We've got Sumo is also redoing its sign at the mall, going for something significantly larger what's currently there. They're going to remove their sign from above their doors, and they're going to put it up on the wall face more towards the roof line of the parapet wall. And then we've also got a UMass design build special permit, because I guess HHA has committed to one tiny house because they're getting it free from UMass, and it's going to go someplace behind their current office and structure, multifamily building down on Maple, no, not Maple, the Chestnut, down by their offices, and they're also going to be doing an A&R back there as well. But they're going to be seeking a special permit under 784 because they don't have the 5, they can't average. So therefore, they're going to ask the planning board for a waiver of the frontage amongst as well as setbacks. So that's currently the 25th. Now, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, is that HHA or is that one
Public
board?
Housing Authority, yeah, it's not Mike Moriarty. I
Okay.
guess, so even though HHA has kind of spoke out against them, I believe that they are working on a project or working this deal with UMass for that one structure.
Interesting. Okay.
And I think that's why Sarah is probably, or HHA is probably saying, we can't sell this unit, or at least so far, but there's that. Now, one thing I was confused about a bit. So on the 8th, is that just a comp plan update like we've had this evening? Or is this actually a comp plan meeting that night? Because there was a calendar invite sent for the 8th, which includes, well, at least one board member, 2 board members. But is that like an actual, is that going to be like a working group meeting that night, to your knowledge? Or is that just an update like we got tonight?
I think they're coming to us with a more finalized plan.
Okay. The reason why I ask is just that I've heard that Victory Theater might be trying for April 8th or April 22nd. And so I guess to further, we currently don't have anything on April 22nd. Will there still be a board meeting, or are we not proposing any, like, should I be, if Victory submits, should I be either pursuing anything on April 22nd? Or are we trying to keep, April 22nd clear?
Good question. I have a mysterious note on my calendar that says maybe comp plan for the 22nd. Possibly we deleted that and when we moved it to the 8th, 9th. But I think Victory Theater is not a good thing to have when we already know that we have a comp plan update. And I would be more inclined, I guess, to stick them on the 22nd in the hope that my note on the calendar is wrong. I say that at the same time that I'm thinking, gosh, it would be nice to have a week off.
I think the reason for the note on the 22nd is that is school vacation. And, I have a high school junior who needs to go visit colleges, and April vacation is kind of when you do
Okay, so we decided not to do it that day. So I will take this off my calendar.
I'm okay with, having a second meeting in April on a different Tuesday. I just feel like that Tuesday is going to be hard for me to commit to.
Okay, so let us not do it on the 22nd. Let us, I don't know, would we rather attempt to squeeze it on the same night as a comp plan update? Or do we want to look at adding a special meeting at some point in April?
Shouldn't we wait to actually have the thing before we try and schedule it?
You're not wrong. I mean, I just wanted to throw it out there that something might be coming, but you're not, yeah, that's true.
Yes, no, that is true, and that is logical. And just for Jeff's guidance, I would say, let's wait for it to come in. And let us assume that if it does come in, we're not putting it on the 22nd because we're keeping that clear. And we're not putting it on the 8th because we already have what may be a full agenda. And we will consider whether we need to add a meeting.
Well, the only thing on April 8th so far would be the super fresh continuance and a comp plan discussion.
But the comp plan discussion might be a bit more in depth than what we had tonight, correct?
Hopefully, yeah.
So we need to leave a good chunk of time for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just want to stress further, I think that, well, regarding that, I just think that the board, hopefully next meeting with them, you know, we can really start getting into the zoning aspect of things, like really the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah,
And though, you know, last cycle or last master plan or comp plan, you know, there were 15 meetings with the executive committee and the board. And, you know, or the board was always open as an invitee. And it's just, eventually, I would assume that, you know, the board was, I sent it to you yesterday, the ideas of some of the zoning discussions. But I think that the board probably really should start digging into that or making any of that, apparent to agency as something that you wish to entertain.
Yeah, and that was kind of the reason why I'm saying, even though it is only one item, we might want to leave as much time as we can for, you know, on the 8th. And I suppose I may be being unfair to NIFA, but they haven't gotten back to us and they haven't gotten back to us and they've known this was coming.
Right.
And, you know, I don't see a need to scramble to get them onto the agenda at their earliest possible convenience.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say though that since we do have a lot of stuff coming in, it's good for us to have 2 meetings a month. And so I'm okay with the rest of the board meeting on the April 22nd without me, and I can catch up. But knowing that, you know, I'm not the only one with a school-age kid, if 2 of us are absent, that's an issue. And I'm okay with, if that were going to be the case, picking a different Tuesday in April. To me,
Yeah.
having 2 meetings in the month isn't
Yeah, it's not,
extra because it's what we
yeah.
tend to do.
And my concern here is the victory is going to be complicated. And, you know, if it's really going forward, it's a huge thing for the city. And yes, anyone who's absent could certainly catch up with just one meeting. But I kind of feel like this is one where people should have the best possible opportunity to be present and start asking questions. And, you know, I'm good with putting on another meeting if we need to. And I'm being, you know, I suppose kind of unfair. It's just I've been hearing that the victory is coming in any minute now for 6 months.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, can't we just decide next week when or like next meeting what we're doing?
Yeah.
Once we have some information.
Yeah, no, it's good to know what's coming. And I feel like this is really so that Jeff can warn them if it actually does drop, that they're not getting on the next scheduled agenda.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, because we're also going to have, I'm sure not everything on the March 11th and March 25th agendas are going to be finished then. You know, something is going to roll to the April 8th besides just the comp plan.
Yeah, I mean, American Environmental, we still, I mean, that's going to be a big one. So, okay, we're done with future agendas. And we have many, many short sets of minutes.
Ooh, before we move on real quick, I just wanted to let everybody know, I let Jeff know this, I will not be at the March 11th meeting. I am on vacation and I will not be able to Zoom in.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Presumably you're going someplace fun.
Montana to ski. I'm stoked. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
And also just as a side note to you all, maybe this is, just know that within this meeting, the new alternate member reached out saying that he was not receiving any notes, minutes, or not, or rather agendas for the meetings. And then I forwarded to him the past two invites with their attachments and got the response of, oops, it was in my trash bin. So presumably the next meeting, we will have an alternate member present as well.
Okay. Well, at least he hasn't vanished.
Well, I'm just glad that when he responded or sent that message that he included the mayor, because I wouldn't want him to I wanted to make sure that we're all aware that he wasn't getting the agendas, so.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. And the thing about the minutes. I hope that he CC'd the oops, it was in my trash folder. So now we are on to, I believe, many, many sets of minutes.
Yeah.
Can we take them as a group to approve?
I would
sure hope so.
Yes.
I have one set of minutes that I had questions and suggestions about that I thought needed.
And I did get your email about that typo. I put the same sets of minutes twice, I think.
And I attempted to add a line to one of them about the site triangle and that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell whether it had gone through, and then I was worried that you were going to get 300 emails about it. But I wanted to check with Rosanna before the suggestion went in. My recollection of that meeting was that Rosanna did bring up the potential dangerousness of that corner and the fence.
Correct, yeah.
And was reassured after we heard from Davin about it. And if that part of the recollection is correct, I felt like we should add a line saying that Rosanna's concerns about the fence were resolved.
Yes.
And I tried to enter proposed language and the system may have just eaten it.
Okay.
And also site triangle, this is confusing, but this is site as in eyes rather than site as in the project site. So wherever it says site triangle, that should be SIG. Well, however you, yes, that. Sorry about that.
Okay. So just adding language about was the problem, the concern Rosanna had
Yeah.
was resolved. Okay.
Yes, in light of Davin's or Damn it. I had the language and now my brain is just fried.
You could
I
just
think I
you
have your email about it. 1 second. Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, wait.
Oh, and it just didn't save the
Yeah,
paragraph.
I didn't.
I would maybe put something in the after the paragraph about Davin, but before the paragraph about me.
Yeah,
You know, Rosanna Lopez stated that this addressed her concerns.
yeah, that'll do it.
Because she did do that.
Yes. Yeah,
Mm,
I
yeah.
just felt like we didn't want to have minutes that said, no, Rosanna brought up a real problem and we just blew it off.
Gotcha. Yeah, I get that.
Yes, because then you'll get the comments on Hello Holyoke of who thought they saw the video and knew what was going on and got all these opinions.
Exactly. So true.
The one that I had questions about, if we're done with this one, was the super fresh one.
Yeah. Yes.
And Jeff might be able to look this number up. So, because they were, the problem was that they were proposing a lot more than 80 feet. So,
Okay.
Right, yeah, I can look that up. Yeah. It was like over 250, maybe even 300 square feet when it was all tallied, so I'll look that up.
as long as we put in the right number there. And I think the only other thing is I was gonna, the whole issue is we're not asking them to do a different, we're asking them to return with a revised proposal. So that was just my,
Yeah. Okay.
other than that, I'm good with the minutes.
Well, motion to approve the minutes as a package as revised.
I move that we approve the minutes as a package as revised with the notation that Jeff will change that one number. Otherwise, they're ready to go.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Lauren,
Yes.
and Grinder.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Woohoo! Thanks for all the minutes.
I don't need people complaining, so gotta get them done.
Yes, well, I'm sure that it will make the city council very happy to have them all land on their desk.
I really hope so, Mimi. Really hope so.
Well, if it doesn't, too bad for them. Okay, that is the end of the formal agenda. Do we have anything else that we need to talk about before we adjourn?
I don't
I hear-
have anything else.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Lauren,
Yep.
and Grinder.
Yes.
Thanks,
thought-
everybody.
I thought we were going to be here past 9. Given
Me
the
too.
length
I
of
told
the
my son, I
agenda.
said, don't mess with me. Come at 9 o'clock and check in.
Yeah. Strong work, friends.
Well, thank
Good
you.
night,
Have a
guys.
good night.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Ooh, crazy.
See you all in
Bye.
2 weeks.